You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's practices was definitely dominated by the youngsters, and that's not overly surprising because one of the things that I figured going into this year was that we were going to see the young kids from Kenny's first few recruiting classes start to make their impact, and that definitely seems to be the case. Hey, everyone. This is Richie Bradshaw, host of the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, here to give you the update from spring practices, Thursday's practice on March 27th, 2025. We are here without a paywall. You don't have to pay for this podcast. We're free and available wherever you're getting your shows. And don't worry if you miss the live, that's just fine. Everything is archived. You can rewatch it on YouTube, and this will be updated wherever you get your podcasts. So Spotify, Apple, all of that good stuff. But we're free and available on all platforms. So tune on in. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Drop a comment if you're in here live. Let's have a discussion as I let you know all of the stuff that I noticed from Thursday's practice. Let's go ahead and pick up where we started this show. The young kids, the youngsters, the freshmen, the redshirt freshmen, the redshirt sophomores, everyone that Kenny Dillingham has brought in his first three recruiting classes. We are starting to see them find the field. After the first 2 years was littered with transfers and some other players that had just been with the roster for a long time and had been a part of everything that ASU was building up to that point, we are getting to see the future of this program. We're seeing how Kenny's recruiting classes are looking. Is he doing a good job recruiting? Is it just names? Are they gonna be standout players? Stuff like that. Like we're waiting to see, because this is the time where you find out if you can actually be a good head coach or if you're a good recruiter. And we've known that Kenny Dillingham can recruit. That's never been a question since he arrived at Arizona State. Our question has been, is he going to be able to coach them up? We find out this year, and we'll know by the end of 2025 when the season is over. But through two practices, these guys look pretty good. And I would tell you that after last season, when you saw all of these guys returning who didn't get starting time, who redshirted their freshman years because they just didn't get on the field, or maybe they needed to bulk up and stuff like that. The guys from the first recruiting class who have still not seen the field, when you see that everyone is buying into what's going on and they're returning no matter how big their role is, that's a really big deal. And it's one of the reasons why I was so excited going into this season when it came to looking at these redshirt sophomores, these redshirt freshmen, and these true freshmen. They're clearly bought into what Kenny Dillingham is putting out here at Arizona State University. And again, through two practices, and take it with a grain of salt, it's two spring practices. We don't have shells on or pads or anything like that. Take it with a grain of salt, but you can tell that these guys are dialed in. I'll mention in a little bit more about that dialed in mindset that these guys have right now, because they seem to be unfazed with outside noise, and they're just worried about the things that are in front of them right now. But there's a lot of young guys that are standing out to me. Two guys that are standing out far more than anyone else, but some other kids too who are getting some time. And I actually want to start with those guys that are kind of going under the radar. Funny enough, they both play receiver, is Derek Eusebio and Harry Hausman. Hausman, keep an eye on him. True freshman, very much overlooked guy as a true consensus three-star, excuse me. He is running with the backup, so he's third team, stuff like that. But the players that are lining up across from him are struggling. They are getting diced up by Hausman right now. And it's worth noting as someone that could potentially start working their way up the depth chart. This is a receiving room that has been completely remade. Jordan Tyson is back. Malik McLean, who barely saw the field last year, is back. That's about it. They're replacing a lot of guys. They brought in 3 transfers. The recruiting class, I believe, had 4 guys. Like, there's a lot of room for competition. So there is a chance that Hausman would be able to work his way onto the field. That's not out of the realm of possibilities, just as long as he continues to stack together good practices. But he was good on Tuesday. I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, okay, that's just another one of those guys where it's like, good for him. He's having a good practice. But he's strung together another one today. So now it's one of those things where you have to put it in the back of your mind. You're like, that's 2 good practices for a true freshman that hasn't seen the field yet. Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on him. Derek Eusebio, he's going to be a really interesting case study, man. Former walk-on, 1 catch last year against U of A in garbage time, goes over 60 yards and a touchdown from Trenton Bourget. On that touchdown reception, he was shifty and he was able to kind of cut around because it wasn't like this straight deep ball, right? It's not like it was a go route. He gets hit in stride and he walks in. It was an underneath pass. It was within the first 5 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. It was much closer to 5 yards. And he was just able to have good blocks set up in front of him, but then weave his way and make it into the end zone. And he was very quick. And he was just like, you're really excited when you watch the play, but then you kind of think to yourself, you're like, maybe it's just, a good play. He's going against the backups, blah, blah, blah. You don't really put too much stock into it, but it was exciting to watch. Well, spring ball has rolled around, and Eusebio is continuing to make plays. The one-on-ones have been very interesting to me because the DBs came out on day one and dominated. And that's typically going to be the case when you get early into spring ball and training camp and stuff like that. Is the DBs typically have the advantage out of the gate because the receivers are getting back into the playbook, learning new routes and all sorts of stuff, whereas the DBs are just mirror matching kind of thing. Read what's on the field in front of you, all that good stuff. There's not as much like notes that they're reading because they don't have a route tree that they're studying. So typically your DBs dominate and then it kind of evens out. But Eusebio has not had any issues finding ways to break off of coverage and get open. So he had a really good rep today that I noticed where it was a comeback route, but it worked to the inside rather than going to the boundary of the field. But he was just able to plant his foot, and just the way he shifted himself so quickly, it was very impressive. So you're sitting there, you're like, okay, the body control is there. You're noticing someone that is able to maneuver themselves better than most guys can. But he makes his break. He's able to swing back around. The ball is going to his left outside shoulder now after he makes that break. And he's able to corral the ball right after he is midair at this point. Like, he's not jumping up for it. He is contorting his body as far as he can to the outside and laying out for this ball. But he's able to grab it, bring it into his chest, and haul it in. You're sitting there, you're like, that looks like a veteran play. That looks like a play from someone who has started a lot of college football games, not a former walk-on who's barely seen the field. It was very impressive. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stash that away. And then 7-on-7s roll around and 11-on-11s roll around, and Eusebio is finding his way onto the field and he's finding ways to get open and make plays. And you're like, all right, maybe this is one of those guys that not only are you watching and paying attention to him, but he may be a huge winner by the end of spring ball. Someone that we look back on and we go, okay, yeah, over the summer, when we start going over sleepers, we might have to talk about Derek Eusebio. When we're in training camp, you're going to be paying attention to him because there's an opportunity to win a starting role. That's the vibe that we're getting right now as we're watching Derek Eusebio in practices. Very, very impressive. The 2 guys who have stood out the most, to me, it's not even close. Like, I'm telling you, Harry Hausman, Derek Eusebio, and several other youngsters are looking good. Man Robinson, one of the freshman running backs, has looked good. You're seeing good competition from some of your second-year defensive backs. Tony Lewis and Kuba, Chris Johnson are looking good. None are looking as good as Rodney Bimage. Now, look, I know we talked a lot about Rodney Bimage on Tuesday, but we can't not talk about a player who looks like the best guy on the field. He looks like the best defensive back that's out there right now. And it's hard not to notice him. you can try and look elsewhere. But when the ball goes his way, it doesn't feel like it's getting caught. It feels like it's a trap to throw in the direction of Bimage, because he's going to be able to make a play on the ball. He's breaking up a lot of passes. He has had an interception in each session. So 2 interceptions on the week, one on Tuesday and one today. So he's finding his way to the football. He's making plays on the balls. He's breaking it up. He's intercepting it. He's got sticky coverage. He is able to be physical with guys without committing holds or pass interferences. I have not seen a penalty thrown on him yet. He just looks good, man. And here's something to remember. Javen Robinson and Keith Abney, they are your starting 1 and 2 corners. It would take abysmal play, injury, or transfer, or bad grades that would get him suspended, whoever it is, to get one of them off the field right now. They are terrific. They are playing very much to their strengths and complementing each other. There is no question who cornerback 1 and cornerback 2 is, 1A and 1B. But there is an opportunity for that third guy. There are 2 really key important spots in the secondary at the corner position. The first is the slot. We all know that. Who's playing in the nickel? Now, that's an interesting spot for the Sun Devils, because last year, Shamari Simmons played the nickel. He was originally a safety. He moved into corner, and he not only has the coverage skills still, but now he turns into this great run defender and someone that is just able to play near the line of scrimmage. He's that third safety for the team. So that's an important role that we're seeing a competition for. But another equally important role, for lack of a better term, is corner 3. Is this guy who's not going to play in the slot. He's not necessarily a bench player, but he gets on the field a lot. Last year, that was LT Welsh. And in the second half of the year, we saw a lot of LT Welsh. He was on the field very consistently, and he was intercepting passes. He had a pick 6. He got a pick over U of A. He was a very important player, but he wasn't playing in the slot. He was a boundary guy, but yet you found him out there with Abney and Robinson out there too. So, like, he rotates in. Sure, maybe Keith needs a couple of snaps off. Welsh is going to go in, but you still found all 4 of them on the field. Javen, Keith, Shamari, and then LT was getting on the field. So ASU values having a nickel corner while also having a third corner and separating the 2. They're different for ASU. So that third corner spot is open, and there's going to be plenty of guys vying for it. In fact, the early favorite was probably Nyland Green, the transfer from Purdue. It felt like he was going to get the first crack at it because he's got so much collegiate experience, and he was really good with Purdue the last 2 years. Comes to ASU for his final season. Let's see if that can be something that propels me to the pros. It felt like Nyland was going to have the best opportunity, and now all of a sudden, my goodness, it feels like he is a step, maybe even 2 steps behind Bimage right now. Remember, Bimage is someone that I hyped up last spring, someone that I was excited about last training camp in August. So to see him continuing to play well isn't necessarily a surprise to me, because I've always been very intrigued with him. But what I can tell you is it's good to have that confirmation, not for me, but for Rodney himself, to know, hey, I'm playing at a high level at a Power 4 program, and I'm finding a way to stand out with NFL players next to me. He's playing really good football right now, and he killed it on day 1, and he killed it on day 2, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. He would be my favorite to be corner 3 right now in that LT Welsh role. One more guy I want to talk about, the youngsters, before we start looking at some of the other information that I want to pass on to you guys. AJ Ia. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise because, oh my goodness, he was a 4-star tight end for a reason, but he also looks ready to play. I look at him and I see an NFL tight end. I don't see a kid who just got out of high school. I don't see a 17, 18-year-old. I see a 25-year-old pro player who has been conditioning his whole life and has been working with professional, top of the line nutritionists and coaches and all sorts of stuff. That's what I see when I look at him as a 17, 18, maybe 19-year-old kid. I don't know his birthday. That's insane. It's intense. And now you're matching him with Jason Mons, who is proven to be one of the best tight end coaches over the last several seasons that Arizona State has ever seen. I would be interested to see how he stacks up with other guys across the country. But AJ Ia had some great plays today. And there was the viral play, of course, where it's a route that's taking him deep into the back of the end zone. And as he's tracking this ball, first of all, the tracking skill's phenomenal. For him to be able to look over the shoulder and locate the football, that's something I've never been able to do in my entire life. And it just looks natural for him. He looks like a wide receiver that's just running routes out there because it's so natural the way that he's just able to stare up, understand where the ball is going to be, locate it, and then just pull it in, drag the feet, score a touchdown, all that good stuff. Lo and behold, that's what happened. Unfortunately, poor Cronkite student paid the price for it as she was shooting some photos. First of all, she still got the shot. It is on Twitter. I don't remember her handle. I did retweet it on my account at Richie Bradshaw 36. So if you want to go to my Twitter, find that picture. It's a really good photo, but it's one of those where it's like pictures that precede unfortunate events, because right after that, she gets absolutely laid out. Thankfully, she was kneeling on the ground, so it's not like she was standing up and gets hit like a quarterback. Like, she got rolled up on, but at least she was able to kind of protect herself. But yeah, she got run over. The funniest part is all of AJ's teammates are running over to celebrate with AJ because it was a hell of a play. Like, it was phenomenal. And AJ's trying to get through, like, hey, can I make sure she's okay? Like, he's trying to find his way over there. Whoever was covering him helped get her up. And then after everything had kind of cleared up, AJ went out of his way to go over and check on her, like, hey, you good? I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. He responded to her on Twitter later on when she posted the photo. So he definitely was excited about the play, but he wanted to make sure that she was good. So that's nice to see that you have an individual and a young man that is worried about the people around him and his surroundings instead of just playing football. One of the things that irks me when I'm watching pro football is when a cameraman will get run over, and instead of like checking on the guy, the player will like step over them and get back to the field. It takes 5 seconds to check and make sure a guy's okay. Just put the hand out. You good? My bad. Keep doing your job, blah, blah, blah. So it was nice to see that AJ was doing that. But in terms of just what he's doing on the field right now, I mean, he's putting every tight end on notice. This is a good-looking tight end room this year. We know what Shimon Mateer is, and he's a starter until further notice. Kamari Anderson, the guy who transferred in from Kentucky, he also looks really, really good. And he's been a standout, and he is fast. I wasn't sure what to expect out of him when he transferred to Arizona State. And he's just big, long, quick. So an athlete at the position that is able to just be so much more deceptively athletic, I suppose, compared to kind of what I initially thought. So he looks good. But now you've got AJ Ia, who's just going crazy. And he is separating himself very quickly from the second tier. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to start pulling away towards the first tier. There's an opportunity for him to be the number 2 tight end by the time the season rolls around on the depth chart. He's playing out of his mind right now. Very, very impressive. He is one of the biggest highlights that we have gotten to see on the practice field so far. It's been Rodney Bimage. It's been AJ Ia. Those are the guys. Let's take a look at the depth chart real quick, but I do want to shout out everyone that's in the live. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm here to give you the updates on everything that is going on with the Sun Devils during spring practices for free. There's no paywall here. You can rewatch this live. You can listen to it back. It's free and available on all platforms. So I got a handful of comments in here from my good friend, John Williams. John, it's good to see you back in. You were here on Tuesday. Good to see you again. Hashtag in Kenny we trust. And the question here, what do you think is the strongest position group so far? I think it's hard to look past what's going on at tight end. And I know that's not the position that people would be thinking. Like, you would probably assume that like the running back position looks the best or the defensive tackle position looks the best. And those have looked good. But tight end is insane right now because Shimon Mateer is still doing his stuff. But Kamari Anderson, who just transferred in, is making himself a standout in practice. And you're like, if he keeps doing this, you're going to have a hard time keeping him off the field. And then you see true freshman AJ Ia come in, and it's the same thing. He keeps doing this, you're going to have a hard time keeping him off the field. Now you've got redshirt freshman Jaden Fortier, who's getting more and more comfortable back into a rhythm. You can't forget about Cameron Harpel. There's James Giggy. Like, there's a lot of guys that are doing a really good job competing right now at the tight end spot. And Kenny Dillingham even addressed it today when we were talking to him post practice in the media scrum. And he had mentioned, the tight end position is a group that we're really excited about. And it's something that we want to get more integrated this year. There's a lot that's going on there. And last year, it was Shimon Mateer and nobody else. Marqueston Douglas had a single catch, and I don't think any other tight end was involved. Maybe someone else had a reception. It was all Shimon Mateer. There's no way that stays the same this year. And I don't think it's even going to be like Shimon Mateer is going to lose reps. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's just going to be like, hey, Shimon's going to get his, but then we're going to get Ia on the field. We're going to get Fortier on the field. We're going to get Anderson on the field. We're going to run 2 tight end sets. We're going to split someone out wide. We're going to put Fortier out at wide receiver, and Ia is going to be an inline guy. They're going to find a way to get these tight ends on the field. So when you're asking me, hey, what's the deepest position group look like? I'm telling you it's tight end. And it's at a point where Kenny is recognizing it. Marcus Arroyo had made a comment about it. We'll talk about him and coordinator Brian Ward's comments that they were able to give us during the media scrum a little bit later on. Best and deepest position right now, though, is definitely tight end. Emily Kruger's in here. Emily, what's going on? Good to see you again. You are a regular in this chat. Let's see. I can see it because I loved the Kamari Wilson transferring. The transfer signing, dude is athletic and can do it all. I didn't know much about Kamari Anderson when he transferred in. In fact, one of my takes that I had to myself was like, I feel like you're kind of putting a hat on a hat here. Like, we don't need more tight ends in the room. Why is that something that we're shopping? Well, it turns out when a good football player is available, you add a good football player and you figure out how to get him on the field later. That's what we're seeing with the tight end position. Shimon Mateer is a starter until further notice, but he better be playing to the absolute best of his abilities, because Kamari Anderson and AJ Ia are playing like starting caliber tight ends right now. I don't say that lightly. I do not say that lightly. They look like, if the tight end position was wide open, if Shimon Mateer didn't have an early grasp on it, that you could roll out one of those guys to be the starting tight end. And that'll be something that I'm paying attention to for the remainder of camp, is when we get those opportunities to see first team, second team reps, the players that are out there, we may start seeing Kamari Anderson running with the ones. And we may see Shimon Mateer with the 2s, and we may see AJ Ia with the 1s, and we may see Fortier running with the 2s, and Harpel's running with the 2s. Like, I anticipate a lot of shuffling to go on at the tight end spot. There's so much good stuff going on there. Outside of tight end, though, running back looks really good. Raleek Brown, we'll talk about him in a second, but he's getting first-team reps, and he looks comfortable. He looks good to go. If he's healthy, he's going to be a big-time difference maker. Just real quick, for what it's worth, an update on the left guard spot. Sean Na'a got first-team reps again today. I know Gemetto is still pushing him, and Jalen Clem had his second straight day starting at right tackle because Maxie Honecker at the moment is out for spring ball, working back from an injury. I don't think he has played spring ball in any of the 3 years he's been at ASU. I do not remember seeing him, but that hasn't stopped him from being a starter for the team. I'm not worried about it. We know what he is. It's fine. Just make sure that he's able to stay healthy. We'll move on from there. All right, a few more comments dropped in. West Bezzy, thanks so much for hopping in. Keep up the good work. We love the updates. I appreciate you. I love you guys tuning in. Have this platform because of you guys. Papa Deuce, thanks for stopping in. Stumbled on your channel. Great work. Longtime ASU alum, AZ native. Keep up the great work. I appreciate it. I'm really glad that you stumbled upon this channel, and I hope that you will be someone that comes back and checks it out and has conversations, because we got stuff to talk about all the time, but I will be keeping you guys posted on practices. Let's talk about the depth chart rotations, because ASU is seeing all sorts of guys getting opportunities to get on the field. Like, it hasn't been like this cookie cutter starting 11. Last year, we knew who the starting 11 was on pretty much a week-to-week basis. But we are seeing in spring ball so far that guys are getting chances. An example, Derek Eusebio, who we talked about not that long ago, he was running with the ones today. Yeah, he was running with the ones. He was splitting time in the slot with Jalen Moss. Jalen Moss is someone that I have highlighted on this show as my slam dunk favorite to be the starting slot receiver. And I've recently said, I think Jalen Moss will have a bigger role in the slot than whoever gets the wide receiver 2 position split on the outside. I think the slot receiver is going to have a huge role this year, which as of right now, I'm saying that's Jalen Moss. Derek Eusebio has looked really good so far. And clearly Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo want to get him those opportunities to play with Sam Levitt and the other starting receivers. Hey, what can this kid do? He's standing out so far. Let's give him the chance. It's nice to see he's getting that chance. One of the things that I've been curious about is the linebacker spot. How's the linebacker spot going to rotate? We all know Keyshawn Elliott is the starter. Who's playing next to him? Cyrus Viaseu got a lot of starts in the first half of the season. Jordan Crook got a lot of starts in the second half of the year. Caleb McCullough, who has graduated from the program, was one of the leading tacklers on the team. In fact, I think he was the second or third leading tackler for the team. He was the leading linebacker for the team. So there was a hole to be filled. Tate Romney is back and healthy. Tate Romney, someone that I've been excited about. There's all sorts of good stuff that's going on at linebacker. However, the guy who has been seeing the reps as the number 2 linebacker on the team has been Jordan Crook. That's not overly surprising, because he really did get a lot of playing time towards the end of the year, and he was making plays. He had an interception against, it was either UCF or BYU. I want to say it was UCF, but he was making plays at the end of the year. He was getting a lot of snaps, and he's growing into his role. He looks very comfortable this year, at least through 2 practices. And if I had to guess who will get most of the linebacker 2 starts, we'll put it in quotations, for the remainder of spring ball, it's going to be Jordan Crook. I do expect other guys will get rotated in, and they should, but like Cyrus Viaseu has pretty consistently been with the second team defense, and Jordan Crook has consistently been with the first team. And again, we didn't have questions about who the number 1 was. We've all known it's Keyshawn Elliott. That's about as pen as it's going to get for you writing down the starting lineup. But you do have Jordan Crook that is really standing out right now and is clearly showing that he deserves that opportunity to be the number 2 guy. We talked about Rodney Bimage earlier. Not a surprise. He's running with the first team, and he is getting that opportunity as that third corner. He's playing a lot of outside stuff too. So very, very exciting to see him. Update on the slot position, because that's such a interesting role in the defense. The slot, the nickel, whatever you guys want to call it, I go back and forth. Today was Montana Warren's day. On Tuesday, it was a lot of Kendrick Breedlove. Today, it was a lot of Montana Warren. Also, funny enough, Montana Warren changed his number again. He's number 7 now. That's what Shamari was. So maybe he is completely embracing the Shamari Simmons role, which, again, he played that in the first half against Texas because Simmons had to sit out for a previous targeting. So Montana got a lot of the reps today with the first team, playing in that nickel slot, third safety role, whatever you would like to call it. Definitely keep an eye out on that, because when I look at Kendrick Breedlove, I see much more of a true nickel corner. When I look at Montana Warren, I see that Shamari Simmons kind of player, where he has the safety mentality, but obviously the coverage skills are good enough for him to play inside for the for the slot, for the nickel. The instincts are there. So it's going to be a really interesting competition. It's going to come down to, like, what do you prefer at your nickel spot? Do you want someone that's entirely like Shamari Simmons, or do you miss that Jordan Clark kind of player that ASU had a couple of years ago? There's a value to both of those guys, and we're going to see both of them. we will see a lot of Kendrick Breedlove and we will see a lot of Montana Warren this year. But as far as getting the starts goes, it's just going to come down to what Coach Ward and Coach Dillingham are going to prefer out of the starter from that spot. But Montana Warren got the edge today for first team reps after Breedlove got the edge on day one. I mentioned Derek Eusebio was running with the first team, rotating in with Jalen Moss. And then I had kind of teased Raleek Brown because he's running with first team right now. Kanye Udo has been running with the second team more often than not. Kyson Brown is out with the first team, but Raleek Brown is getting a lot of snaps. And he looks healthy and he looks confident and he's cutting on a dime. He's getting a lot of receiving work. They're throwing the ball to him out of the backfield. They're getting him involved. And he's someone that I feel like it's kind of been on the back burner because we're so focused on Kyson. We're so focused on Kanye, and I'm among them. Like, I have to remind myself, like, hey, don't forget about this guy. And something that I've said many, many a times is I anticipate he will be the de facto guy in the passing game while Kyson and Kanye get more of the work in, like, the actual run game. That might not be the case because Raleek is getting a lot of running back snaps and a lot of actual like running opportunities. It's not just lining up in the backfield. It's not just rolling out for receiving option. He is running the football. They're putting him between the tackles. They're bouncing him outside, and he looks comfortable. He looks confident. You love to see what's going on right now with this running back room because Kanye Udo still looks good. Just because he's running with the twos, I got news for you. He still looks good, and he's catching the football. And I know there was a lot of questions that people had because we only caught 2 passes at Army. One of them was for -1 yard. One of them was for 1 yard. So 2 catches for 0 yards in 2 years. You can't catch football. I never had that question. When we sat down with him on Locked On Sun Devils for a player interview, if you haven't checked that out, it's in the player interviews playlist on YouTube, so you can find it and get to know Kanye Udo. Great young man. Very excited for him. But he was telling me then, and I was totally buying it too. He's fine catching the football. He just played at Army where they don't throw the football and they certainly don't throw to the running backs. He only has 2 catches. Yeah, because that's probably the 2 targets he's ever gotten at Army. He looks more than capable of catching the football out of the backfield. Very comfortable, very confident. I don't have any questions about Kanye catching the football even without the history of it. Now, I've gone in and said before, hey, I anticipate he won't have as big a receiving role because the history is not really there. That could be the case. That's also just kind of playing it close to the chest, close to the vest, whatever the actual phrase is, because he looks fine. And we know that Kyson can catch the football, and we certainly know that Raleek can catch the football. So you've got 3 running backs right now that all look like starters, all are playing well, and all can catch the football. Great problem to have. All right, a few more comments. You guys have been jumping in. I appreciate it. Lord Knows Media, good to see you. Checking in from Detroit. I watch every show because you're one of my everydayers, and I appreciate you, especially out in Detroit. You're a little bit of a hike away. Hopefully the weather's treating you a little nicer now that we are in the back end of spring and that snow is melted for you. Granted, I don't know how much snow you got, but hopefully you are enjoying the change of weather. Mr. Williams, to be honest, my biggest worry is the pass rush. That's something that I haven't spent nearly as much time watching as I would like to. When I'm looking on the defense, I'm so drawn to the defensive tackle spot that's where so much of my attention goes to. But I will have to start watching the edge rushers a little more, and I'll have to peek around and ask people what they think. But I'm in agreement with you. We do need the pass rushers to start stepping up more. The production was not there last year. By the way, Prince Dorbaugh is running with the ones right now. One of the questions I had was, will we see more Elijah O'Neal or Prince Dorbaugh? They are rotating. Elijah's getting out there, but Prince has been getting the majority of the first team reps, and Clayton Smith is obviously the other starter. Lord Knows Media, I think you should do an award show for last season and an award show prediction for this season. That will be something that I'll be planning over the summer when we start running into the dry season and I have to figure out stuff to talk about. That's definitely on the agenda, like MVPs, Offensive Player of the Years. I wasn't able to do that in January because I got sick as a dog. That was something I was planning to do as soon as the season was over, but we will be getting to that. So yeah, that's definitely on deck Wes Bezzy. Let's see. So you won't have to try and figure out the pronunciation. It's West Beasy. Okay, perfect. West Beasy. I needed the PlayStation Network handle, and Westbrook's was taken, so I rushed and spelled it like that and just stuck with it. I love the handles that we come up with for PlayStation and stuff like that. Really random. When I was like 8 years old and I made my first ever gamer tag and everything, my buddy was like, hey, what are you thinking? Without hesitation, I said, Rich Grandpa. Don't know why, Rich Grandpa. And that has been my gamer tag ever since. All right, back on track. One of the things I want to talk about as we start to wrap up here, if you guys have questions and want to drop a comment, please drop a comment, ask some questions. That's the best part about these Locked On Son of a Lives. I want to talk about the music because once again, Kenny Dillingham was pumping We Are the Champions by Queen out there. When we talked to Kenny on Tuesday, he said that is intentional. I want the guys to hear it, get annoyed with it, and move on. We talked to Sam Levitt right after that. He said, yeah, it's really annoying. So we're focused on this year, and we want to start moving forward and focusing on what's ahead of us instead of looking back at what happened in 2024. Like, it was great. We celebrated it, but it's time to move on. Job's not done, all that good stuff. So today, they're doing it again. And it felt like the tempo was higher for these guys. There was much more hustling in between drills. Guys were running to the whistle. It felt like everyone was much more dialed in. You got that sense just from being on the field that the players, it felt like there was just so much more attention to what's in front of them instead of everything that's around them. Because the other thing to consider, there's a lot more media out there this year. When you are a good sports team, people pay attention more and they want to go and invest their time into it so that they have content to create and everything like that. There's a lot more media out there right now. There's a lot more eyes that are on these guys. So that's another thing I'm going to mention here in a second that Coach Marcus Arroyo mentioned. But it felt like they were much more zoned into the things that were in front of them for practice, what coaches were saying, what was going on with the reps, what do I need to do, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out when we talked to Kenny Dillingham at the end, obviously Chris Cartman was like, hey, man, is this going to be a regular thing? Or are we just going to hear this all week? And Kenny was like, for right now, yeah, because we're testing these guys. But I will tell you that on day 2, they are responding and just tuning it out. Instead of being annoyed with it, it's getting blocked out. They are unbothered. It's something they're not even noticing. And they did shuffle up the songs. They were playing some rap stuff again. Like, they mix it in with the music that these guys listen to. But 80% of the practice, it's We Are the Champions that's going. And they just seemed much more focused than they were on Tuesday. So good to see, good to know that Kenny Dillingham feels the same way. And this is another practice where he didn't have very many negative things to say. Like, there's times where he'll come out of practice and he'll be like, yeah, that was terrible. That was a horrible practice. Through 2 days, he has been very happy with the way things have gone. Tuesday, he had mentioned that the energy was much better and the guys seemed much more dialed in. From his first 3 spring practices since he has arrived here, he said that Tuesday was the best opening compared to the previous 2. He seems to be just as happy on Thursday. And he did mention that the tempo picked up. He said that was something he wanted to work on and start putting more emphasis on the players. And they've responded, which they've always responded to what Kenny Dillingham is putting out for those guys. So continues to be a good thing to see right now for the team. And you love that the energy is continuing to go. All right, as we wrap this up, we did get to speak to Coach Marcus Arroyo, and we did get to speak to Coach Brian Ward at the end of practices in our little media scrum. Talking with Coach Arroyo, one of the things that was brought up is like, hey, there's a lot of new faces. How are people adjusting? How are you feeling? How is Sam responding? All that good stuff. And Coach was very, very happy and optimistic about everything that's been going on. And he's happy that the guys are back. And one of the really, really interesting things that he mentioned, and this is something that I really do think is noteworthy. he had said one of the things that he appreciates is the players are recognizing that there are more eyes out there. There's more phones that are out there. There's more people recording one-on-ones. There's more people that are tweeting out, hey, player X just got beat by player Y on this drill. And the players are screaming and shouting and everyone's getting excited and everything. That's out there. That is more out there than it has ever been. And because of that, he's telling the guys, like, do you want to be on the wrong side of that tweet? Do you want a tweet to go out that said X player got beat like a drum? And then it's out there on Twitter and everyone's going to see it and they're going to go, he got beat by him? So coach is like, yeah, these guys understand that the platform and the not the vision, but the amount of attention that they're getting is increasing significantly since the last time they were on the field. So now's the time to make yourself stand out. Do you want to be someone that is memed on social media, or do you want to be the guy that's getting talked about and getting all the hype, right? The way that I talk about AJ Ia and Rodney Bimage. Do you want to be that guy? Or do you want to be Richie Bradshaw, who had 3 straight drops, tripped over himself, and ran the wrong route and had to do 30 push-ups because he pissed coach off? Who do you want to be? That's what Marcus Arroyo was saying. And it was like, yeah, I really buy that. And I think that's a very good way to look at something like that, is to have the perspective of, like, not only is it important in practice, right? But it's important for my image. These guys care about their image. They want to be loved and appreciated by the fans and everything like that. You know, the best way to do that, it's to go out there, do your job, and make sure that you do it to the best of your abilities. Brian Ward spoke with us to wrap things up at the end. One of the things that he mentioned that was standout worthy was, with all the guys that are returning on defense, there's a handful of players that are really, really standing out, inheriting leadership roles, and have solidified themselves as starters. There's a lot of guys right now that are rotating, but he was like, Xavion Alford, that is our starting safety. Miles Rouser, that is our starting safety. CJ Fight, that is our starting defensive tackle. Keyshawn Elliott, that is our starting linebacker. Like, there's a handful of guys where it's like, yeah, unquestioned. But then everybody else, he's like, that's open season. Like, you're going to fight for a job, and nothing is guaranteed to you. With a small handful of guys that simply are that good. And even then, I mean, if Keyshawn starts slipping and another linebacker behind him starts playing good, then yeah, Keyshawn better be looking out over his shoulder to make sure that he's still doing his job to the best of his ability. But outside of a handful of guys with the depth and the talent that's on this team, that they have added through the transfer portal, that they have returning for redshirt seasons, and that are coming in as true freshmen in this recruiting class, there's so much competition right now, and Brian Ward loves it. And he loves that these guys are igniting each other and they're pushing each other. There's a small handful of guys who have locked up their position. They're still going to compete, and they're going to be leading the way. Xavion Alford, that's the leader of this defense. Miles Rouser, that's the leader of this defense. CJ Fight, that's the leader of this defense. There are a handful of guys that have earned those roles, and everybody else is going to be fighting, and fighting like crazy too, because there's a lot of returning production on this defense, and there's a lot of new faces on this defense. There's a lot of talent on this defense. Brian Ward recognizes that, and it is a great thing to see. We're going to go ahead and start winding this live down. If you guys have any last-second questions you want to toss in there, please toss them in, and I would love to answer them as we start wrapping up. But that's all my major takeaways from practice today. There weren't too many surprises when it came to like first team, second team. The ones that I noticed, I put out there. Rodney Bimage working with first team. Raleek Brown, probably the running back who's seeing the most first team. Derek Eusebio rotating in with Jalen Moss for the slot. Montana Warren was today's starter at nickel after Kendrick Breedlove was the starter on Tuesday. Jordan Crook is holding down the linebacker 2 role. And Sean Na'a, second straight practice, was getting first team reps at left guard. By the way, for what it's worth, Ben Coleman looks good at center because that's obviously him transitioning from left guard to center because of the necessity of, hey, how are we going to replace Lee Fatanu, who is an all-conference player? He looks good, off to a good start. Sam Levitt looks good. We know what Jordan Tyson is. He's good. We feel good about what we already know, and now we're feeling even better about the new faces. AJE is standing out. Rodney Bimage standing out. We are loving the way that things are going right now through practice. I feel like through 2 practices, we should be incredibly happy with the results that we're getting right now. I'm loving it. And my schedule actually will work out to where I will be able to go to Saturday's practice. Speaking of which, if you guys did not see the news, Saturday's practice is open to the public. All of you are welcome. It's not media only. It's not high school recruits or other coaches. You are welcome to go to practice and watch these guys play and watch these guys work out. See the things that I am telling you about. See the things that you find behind paywalls. And you don't have a paywall on Locked On Sun Devils, baby. If you want to see and witness those things, and you're free on Saturday night, practice starts at 6 p.m., runs to 8 p.m. If you got time, go for it. Go for it. Get to meet some people. Get to watch some players, take some videos, take some pictures, have all sorts of good stuff. If you see me and you want to say hi, please say hi. I would love to meet you guys. But that's my updates that I have for you guys for this live edition of Locked On Sun Devils. As always, I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in. I appreciate my everydayers who are here every day. I appreciate the people who are discovering me for the first time. And I hope it's not the last time that we get to interact with each other. You guys can follow me on Twitter at RichieBrads36 or the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. And I am always ready to talk ball. Drop comments on YouTube. I post posts, all sorts of good stuff for us to have conversations. And I reply to all of my comments on all of my videos. Let's talk ball. Gonna have a good time. We'll be back tomorrow morning. I am going to talk about Cam Scadaboo again because today was ASU's actual pro day. Cam Scadaboo ran the 40. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about everything that comes next for him during his process. I'll keep you posted on Saturday. We'll have another live on the weekend to give you those updates there. So now's the time to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. If you missed the live, if you have missed any previous lives, don't worry. They're archived. You can find them wherever you get your podcast in an audio form, and they're still on YouTube. That's enough talking out of me. I will catch you guys next time. Until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.